You are watching Big Bonker Boi News. Episode 30.
Welcome to episode 30 of Big Bonker Boi News. I already made a video like this back in episode 6 of Big Bonker Boi News, but I'm going to make an updated version because I have so much more to talk about. So if you don't remember, I talked about future big arcs that could happen possibly back in episode 6. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing in this episode because there's so much more to talk about. And I can't stress this enough. Please don't expect all of this to happen because things change. Just things change. You don't want to be that one guy who's like, oh, hey, Big OD, I thought you were going to Indiana or something, like May 12th or something. Like, you liar. So I just want to get that out there. And these big arcs can range from definitely going to happen to you just have to pray. You just have to get on your knees and pray that it will happen one day. I'm going to be telling you how we're going to get there, like either drive, ride a train, or fly, and tell you when they might happen. But do know there's no specific date for any of these big arcs, so I only have an idea of when they're going to happen. It's just a prediction. Oh, I am going to move the screen around like this because I do not want to take the risk of the screen freezing because that ruined a few videos, ruined a lot of jokes back then, and whatever else. And I can't afford that to happen in this video. All right, so first up we have the Nashville arc. If you don't remember, back in the summer of 2021, we were supposed to go to South Dakota, Texas, and Nashville all around the same time. But things changed. I had to go to driver's ed, which took up the majority of June and the first portion of the first quarter of July. And we ended up going to Texas first, which we spent like 7 days down there. Like we spent an entire week down there. I don't know. Well, I mean the entire trip, like even including the ride there and back, took like 7 days. I think I don't know, like 7 days. We were just down there 7 days. I mean, the vacation lasted 7 days, and then we went to South Dakota right after, like a week after, and then we were supposed to go to Nashville right after that too, but by the time we got home from South Dakota, school was going to start in like 1 week or something. The Nashville arc is just up in the air. I don't know what's going to happen, and yes, I know the poster sucks. I had to remake it one day. This last time I've been to Nashville was like back in 2017, and I've been wanting to go back ever since. So I know we're going to go there because just solely on the fact that I want to go there and stuff. I told my parents about that a few times last year and the year before, and that will come into play later on in the video. We're going to drive there and drive back because the distance is similar to going to Chicago from Raleigh. It's like 5 hours or something, maybe more when it comes to driving all the way to Nashville. I don't know. You need to cross more states than getting into Chicago. All you have to do is drive through the majority of Illinois. When it comes to Nashville, you have to drive through a little bit of Illinois, Kentucky, and I forgot what else. There ain't no date to when this is going to happen. So that's all the information I have. It's probably going to happen one day. It's probably not going to be this summer. It might be next summer. I don't know. But that's all I know. Next up, we have the third Indiana. Oh, excuse me, man. Next up, we have the third Indiana arc, The Return. You're probably wondering, wait, what? The third Indiana arc? Yeah, so for the newer viewers, if you didn't know, I made an Indiana arc back in 2019 when I started this channel, and then in 2020 I made a sequel to that arc. Though they are pretty short and pretty forgettable. They're like 10 or less episodes long, I'm pretty sure. We do have family members down there that live in Portage, so if we do go to Indiana, we're going to stay in Portage, which that area does have relatively normal towers, though there are some wacky towers down there. There's also a concrete long lines tower down there too, which I should have filmed when I was down there originally back in 2019. I could have. It had a 300 it had a working 300 millimeter too, an old one, and that's very rare for working old school 300 millimeter on a discount on a. I'm having a stroke. Damn it. What I'm trying to say is it's very rare for a concrete longmines tower to have a working filtered 300 millimeter. But as of now, it has an LED. I don't know if it's night mode only or not. I forgot. I should have filmed it. I don't know. I regret that. I have no idea when we're ever going to go back. So there's literally no date. I can't predict when we're going to go back. We're going to drive there and drive back because it's not the longest drive ever. Like from getting to Indiana from Raleigh is like only 5 hours. So we shouldn't we shouldn't just waste our money on flying really. Or well, I mean we might use a train too. Maybe I don't know. All right, next up we have a big arc that is going to happen sometime in the future, like this year. I'm pretty sure the Washington D.C. arc. So the reason why this is going to happen, and I am certain it will, is because my parents asked me what I want to do for a graduation trip since I'm going to be graduating this year. I said I wanted to go to Washington D.C. because there's a lot of cool things down there that I want to do. Want to see the White House. Want to go up to the Washington Monument. There's also a landmark tower down there that I want to see. If you forgot what those towers are, go search the videos up on my channel. They're like very cool towers. So I know this here is going to happen, but I have no idea when it's going to happen. It's like all I know is it's going to happen sometime after graduation. And knowing that it gets hot down there during spring and summer, we might possibly go after spring or summer. I don't know. Uh, uh, the only problem with that is my sister is still at school, and school starts around the end of summer. So when fall rolls around, school will have already started. So I got some bad news for you all. We're going to be flying there because the drive is pretty long. We're going to be flying and flying back. Though don't worry, Washington D.C. is not like California. You know, like the outside of downtown L.A. Remember how tower dry that area was? And let's not forget the fog. Shouldn't happen when we're in Washington D.C. I'll still get a lot of tower content down there while we're just down there and stuff. So, like I said before, this is going to happen sometime after graduation. There's no specific date. We haven't planned that out yet. This is going to be pretty fun. Alright, so next up we have a sequel. The first sequel in this video. The California Arc. Journey to Downtown Los Angeles. I guess. So that's probably not going to happen, maybe. I don't know. So during the original California arc, when we were leaving, my parents were definitely talking about their enthusiasm to return there and do other stuff like downtown LA and a lot of other things like the Hollywood sign and all that crap. But like I said at the beginning of the video, things change, plans change. Now, I mentioned this trip to my mom today, and she said we're probably not going to go down to downtown Los Angeles, but let's hope so. because that'll be pretty cool to see. If this does happen, I mean, it most likely will, but when it does happen, let's hope that's not going to be as disappointing as the original California arc. I mean, being in California was fun, but content-wise, it was just it's not too good. So, like before, we're going to fly there and back because the drive is pretty long. Like the drive is 3 days worth of driving. That'll take forever to get there and get back home. Ugh. All right, so next up we have a big arc that is probably never going to come into existence. I introduced you to the Oklahoma arc. This here is one of the big arcs I was talking about in episode 6 of Big Bunker Boy News. So during the Texas arc, we went through Oklahoma twice, and the second time we were down there, I was talking about just staying in Oklahoma City for like a few days or something, or somewhere around Oklahoma. And my parents said it sounds like a good idea, but that was back in 2021. If we do go back down there, there is a chance that I might meet Merzen or Crease the Mouse, or he goes by a lot. He goes by lots of different names. He's a very popular and smart tower enthusiast that I was going to meet, but things changed. But he told me his area was pretty boring, so I remember him saying that if I was ever to go to Oklahoma, like just go to Tulsa or a place like that. I don't know. If we do go down to Oklahoma, we're going to drive there and back, I would imagine, because Oklahoma is right next to Missouri. It'll be like going to Chicago from Rolla. And if we're going to Tulsa, that's going to be a shorter drive. But like I said earlier, I doubt this is probably ever going to happen, really. Alright, so next up we have another sequel arc. So, um, we're probably going to have a sequel to the Texas arc one day, maybe. Like our first trip down there was pretty fun. I would imagine us going back down there again one day. I don't know if we're going to go back to San Antonio and stuff, but we're probably going to go back down there. Well, actually, if we don't go to San Antonio, where else will we go? Like, I know you guys are probably going to be like the DFW area, or it's another big city down there that I forgot the name of. But I don't know if my parents really want to go to those places. We had a lot of fun down in San Antonio, so we might go back to San Antonio if we go back to Texas. We're probably going to drive there and back because last time it was no big deal. It's not like driving to Florida or others or some other state that's very far away. Well, I mean, driving there is still a 2 day. It's a 2 day thing, I guess, but it's still not that long. It's not as long as Florida. So this here is just a possibility. All right, next up we got the South Dakota Arc sequel. Remember when I said that we're most likely going to go to Nashville just solely on the fact that I told my parents I want to go there? Well, here's where that comes into play, because my parents they're talking about going back to South Dakota one day because my sister wants to go back there. She wants to go back to the Badlands and all that. So my parents were like, "Yeah, we're going to go back there one day." So the same thing should most definitely apply to the Nashville trip. So this here is another trip that I was talking about with my mom earlier today, and she said that if we're ever she said that if we're going to go back, it's probably going to be next summer. It's going to be next summer, not this summer, just next summer. So we gotta wait until 2024 for the sequel to the South Dakota arc, which is a bummer because the Badlands is pretty fun to just run around and hang out and stuff. So my prediction to how we're going to get there is we're going to drive and drive back home after, because the trip is not that long either. It's not like going to Florida. Like going to South Dakota is like going to Texas. You got to just go through like like a few states. Well, yeah, like one or two states. Well, this South Dakota, you have to cross like two states, while Texas, you only have to cross Oklahoma if you're in Missouri. I have no idea where we're going to be staying at. Well, I no, why did I say that? We're going to stay at a cabin. I don't know where. We might stay at the cabin that we stayed at last time with the wall water tower and stuff. Like, pretty cool water tower. So that's all I know about this arc. All right, we got a very infamous sequel arc. We got the sequel to the Florida arc, and I changed it from I changed the sequel name because the original sequel name I was trying to come up with a sequel name that had the word two in it, and I said that the original sequel name was the Second Reloaded Travel Run or whatever else. I don't know what I forgot, and honestly, that title just sounds so horrible. I could have done so much better. So instead, I decided to rename it the Florida Arc. Too good to be true, and the too good to be true part was originally supposed to be the sequel name to California, but I changed it because the original California arc was really not that good. So having a sequel wouldn't be too good to be true. But the Florida arc, on the other hand, that's a different story. The Florida arc is probably my most popular arc that I've ever made. It has like 3K views, maybe more. The playlist does. So it was pretty successful. So having a sequel would be too good to be true. So how we're going to get there and stuff. My parents have been telling my parents have been telling me that they want to fly there the next time we go there because they're just getting tired of driving there. Originally, we were going to take a different path that would go through Alabama and another state, I think, or maybe just Alabama was the other state that we're going to go through, along with Georgia and all the other states. But now that's changed because my parents don't want to drive there. There is a Halloween thing like there's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween that my parents have been wanting to go to for a long time now. Like we already have, but it's been a long time since we did. So if we do decide to go there just for that, then we will have to fly. We have no choice because I'll be around school. Driving to Florida takes 2 days. We could just drive with no brakes, but well, I mean drive with no brakes. It has two meanings. I meant to say drive with no stops whatsoever instead of driving with no brakes. Like help, help! I my brakes are broken. We were supposed to go back to Florida during spring break of 2022, but we were a little too late on that, so we ended up going to Branson. And we didn't go this spring because, we went to Illinois instead. I doubt we're going to go this year. Maybe next year. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Though we do go to Florida like every 1 to 2 years, possibly three. It's not like a once in a very, very, very great while. This arc is still up in the air. It's basically just a Nashville arc. Both arcs are just up in the air. Don't know when they're going to happen. But I can't wait until I go back to Florida. Like even though Florida is basically just a glorified oven, it's still pretty fun to be down there. I like the weather. I just like the vibe down there too. And they're also very tower rich too, so even if we do fly down there, I can still make lots of tower content for y'all. Alrighty. So next up, we have the sequel to the Illinois arc, and even though we just had the Illinois arc, we're already looking into a sequel. Like I mean, my parents are my parents. Like what the hell? When we were leaving, oh god, the video was paused. Come on. All right, so if you didn't hear what I said earlier, I'm going to repeat myself. So when we were leaving Chicago, my parents were talking about going back for a few days. And I also forgot to mention the video is pausing. The video is pausing itself. Damn it. So I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the third Indiana arc, but every time we go to Indiana, we visit Chicago. So if we do go to Chicago during the Indiana arc, then we'll have we'll go to Chicago like 3 times throughout the entirety of the Big LT, which that'll be very sweet. So we're going to take a train to and from Chicago because if we're going to drive there, then that means we're going to have to drive in Chicago. And that is my mom's worst nightmare. There's one time where I recommended driving to Chicago to my mom, and she visibly got pissed off. And now that I've been there recently, I know why. There could just be like some guy that's having a heart attack or a stroke or cardiac arrest in the middle of the street, and people will honk at you to move out of the way. You can stop at a red light, and people will honk at you. Car horns in Chicago are basically useless because you get honked at every 5 seconds. Doesn't mean anything now. Letting stopping to let people cross a road gets you honked at. So yeah, I understand now, Mom. I understand. All right, so yeah, got a little off topic there. Got carried away. So yeah, we're going to take a train there and back, which it's much. The video is paused. Um, it's a train ride's not going to be like flying. I'm still going to make tower videos down there. Uh, we all know that because watch the ending of the Illinois arc. Though, if we do, I mean, we're going to be limited to taxis and walking around. But I don't mind that because really everything that I would want to see and film is in downtown Chicago. The Willis Tower, the John Hancock Tower, Trump Tower, and all the other popular skyscrapers. So, like I said before, if the video didn't pause itself, there is no date to when we're going to go back. All right, next up we have this could either be a sequel to the first arc or the sequel to the second arc. I don't know. It's probably going to be the third installment in the California series. But we got video pause itself. We got the California arc, San Francisco, and Santa Clara. So my parents have been wanting to go, well, especially my dad, they've been wanting to go to a 49ers football game. And, you know, they're in the San Francisco area, but I'm pretty sure their stadium is in Santa Clara. Though we might visit San Francisco, maybe. Um, there is like 2 things I want to film down there. I want to film the Golden Gate Bridge, and I also want to film the Sutro Tower. The Golden Gate Bridge, it's iconic. Why wouldn't you film it when you're down there? And the Sutro Tower is just a very wacky TV tower. I definitely want to film it because I like the weird and wacky. Stop pausing yourself, damn video. It's probably because of sweaty fingerprints on the phone screen. Because for some reason my fingers are just a bit moist, I guess. Moist. So, just like with all the other California arcs, we're going to fly there and fly back. Because, driving from Raleigh to LA is already a 3 day drive. Driving from Raleigh to San Francisco and Santa Clara, that's even longer. So yeah, we're going to fly. I don't know when this is going to happen. All I know is that we are going to go one day. All right, so I think this here is the last one on the list of future big arcs, future possible big arcs. But we got the New York arc. It's the only arc where where you can title it after the state and after the city, and not have to worry about it matching all the other big arc names, because New York and New York City have the same names. Well, without city. My parents have always been talking about how badly they want to go back to New York City. Well, I mean, not go back, because I don't think we actually never been to New York City. We only drove past it. Back when I was just an eeny weeny little baby. And I actually kind of remember one thing from that trip. Well, I only remember one thing passing New York. There was a bridge that looked like it was going up to the sky, and I was scared because we're driving up to it, but it didn't go up to the sky. That's all I remember. That's just a very distant memory. Pretty funny one too. So we're going to obviously fly there and back because it is a long drive to New York from Missouri. And plus, my parents already have experience driving from Missouri to New York, and they hate it. They absolutely hate it. So we're definitely not going to fly. I mean, we're definitely not going to drive there anytime soon. And as for dates, there's no specific date, and I can't predict any date either. And I think that wraps up this video. I think I got every single future big arc possibility. So see you later. Bye.
You are watching Big Bonker Boy News. Episode 30!